Hello there, Mark. My name is Mary Murray, and I am an actress
Hi, Mary.
and a chancer.
Sorry, an actress and a what?
A chancer.
I thought you said dancer, and I was kind of going to go.
I'm definitely not a dancer.
Right.
There's quite a few people that could vouch for that.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Well, let's get to the chancer in the second part of the interview. I might focus on the acting bit first. Come here, Mary. Was it? It's a question I ask everyone, so I may as well start it with you as well. Was it always in you? Do you think from a child? Like, was it something that you were always interested in?
Yeah, it definitely was. And I don't really know how it surfaced, but basically, when I was in school, I remember doing a poem when I was about 5. And then there was summer holidays, and we had a talent competition in the local area. And my brothers dressed up, and they got into the finals, and they were better at me at everything because they were older. And eventually, anyway, I came third in the finals, and they didn't get anywhere. And I thought, this is my thing. I own this now. And after that, I started seeing things like on Anything Goes. There was kids doing improvisation one day, and I was like, "What is that?" I was trying to figure it out. And for years, I'd be looking up the yellow pages and ringing the Gaiety and Betty Ann Norton School and asking how much the classes were. And they tell me £70 a term or something. I go, okay, thank you. And I'd hang up, and I'd never get 70 quid to pay for classes. And it was a lot of money at the time. So I was seeking out bits of things in my local library, or, wherever there was a bit of somewhere to perform, I'd be doing it. I'd be singing songs at kids' birthday parties and doing old man songs and things, just to be entertaining. And eventually, when I turned 13, somebody said to my mom, you should send her to singing lessons. And I went to these singing lessons. My mom managed to get the money together, and they were very expensive. And then somebody came along and said, do you know that Diggs Lane, who they just opened about a year, said you could get drama and singing for less than the price you're paying for these classes. And I went along there, where Jill Doyle and Eamon Farrell, they ran the place in Diggs Lane, and it was the performing arts school. It was, I think, the first year there, and it was just such an incredible eye-opener. It was like fame. All the kids were along the corridors dancing. They were singing in little alcoves, and there was pop bands. It was when Boyzone had just sung on the Late Late Show, and they were all in there hanging about. And Brendan Gleeson had just been in Into the West, and actually the kids of Rory Conroy was in Into the West, and he was in there, and you'd be looking in all the studios in the little windows at all these people off the telly. It was amazing, and it was a beautiful world to get to at last be part of, because I was searching for it for so long. Because it was at the time before Diggs Lane came along, I think there weren't lots of performing arts schools and things around the place. There was Betty Ann Norton's and the Gaiety, and Dublin Youth Theatre. It was around then. I'm not sure. I don't know how long they were around before that. Not probably just 3 or 4 years or something. But that was it. There wasn't other opportunities, and it was amazing. And I loved every single Saturday of my life there.
And Mary, what was it that, like you said, you found it? What were you known in your family as the kind of performative one? Was that some? When you say you found it when you were 5, like, were you hauled out at family dues to sing?
Well, no, we all were kind of just trying to find our chance to be heard. That included my mom and dad. There's 6 kids. And I come in third, and it was a noisy house, so everybody was just trying to get a chance to do their thing. And I don't know, my mom and dad they're good storytellers. and they worked in markets and things. So they're very sociable individuals, you know. And I think just the singing thing, what happened with singing was when I was in school in Ballyfermot. I was in a convent school, and we sang all the time in a convent school. And then I moved to Chapel Lizard School when I was 9 or 10, and nobody sang. And I went on a school tour that summer, and we were on the bus, and everybody was just singing whatever songs you sing on the bus. And they all stopped and went, Mary can actually sing. And then I sang Molly Malone or something, and sang one or two El Kamalia Irish songs that I had heard my dad singing. And soon, like within a month or two, because I was the new kid and all that, they all embraced me. And when it came to parties and stuff, I'd be about 10 on people's tables going, I stepped out and I stepped in again, I stepped out, you know. So yeah, and I just decided, yeah, I like this. I'm gonna just perform.
And then kind of after finding Biggs Lane and the performance art school, and you know, being around that kind of scene, how did things develop then for you, Mary? At what stage was it like? I mean, obviously that was as you were heading through secondary school. And
yeah.
Was there a stage then when you kind of went, oh, this is kind of a bit more serious than?
No, it's still the same. To be honest with you, I haven't stopped having fun with it since then. By the time I got to around age 16, I decided this is what I want to be doing all the time, whether I'm making money at it or not. I have to be doing this. And from the time I was in school, I'm very lucky. I end up just you know, as my mom says, if I fall into a bucket of shite, I'll end up smelling roses, and that has been my life. And there was a local drama course, a FOSS course kind of thing, Ballyfermot Theatre Workshops. And when I was in school, they needed somebody to fill in for someone that dropped out and of some show, and they needed, like, there was a week to learn one of the lead roles, and they'd seen me in one or two things, and they said, we'll give you 100 quid if you come in and learn this. And I did, and then they contacted me again and again. I got lots of little jobs like that, and I was working karaoke's as well when I was around 16 in different pubs around the place. And so while I was in school, yeah, I was just making easy money, having fun. And I thought, well, if it dries up, you know, I'll start taking things seriously and go on to college doing it and all. But to be honest, I just it continued. When I was in school, I did a thing called Crushproof, when I was in a film called Crushproof, and I was doing my leaving cert. And I remember the teacher saying to me, well, she said, where were you? I said, oh, I was making a film. And she says, well, what's more important, maths or your film? And I just looked at her and, are you serious? The film, obviously. That was what I wanted, you know. And yeah, so everything just kind of fell into my lap. I ended up doing all kinds of part-time courses and stuff with the Irish Board of Speech and Drama and all along the way. But I ended up teaching in secondary school. Somehow I got a connection through that FOSS course. And then I was teaching in that school for about 3 years. And then, or maybe it was less, but it was at the time when there was a lot of, like, I was earning a fortune at the time. I was about 19 or 20, and the money was good, and I was filling in for all the classes that I was doing supervisor. And it just basically, I'd probably have about 10 classes to teach drama in. And then I get myself about 20 hours of supervisory work. So I just taught drama in them too. And I was kind of earning a teacher's wage at that. And luckily at the time, you know, it was a more innocent world. And I managed at the time to do a big, huge survey amongst all the local schools, including the school I was working in. And I found out what all the local kids were interested in and stuff. And I set up a stage school then in Ballyfermot with, there was about 300 kids in it then, but I was able to figure out, like in this day and age, nobody would be you wouldn't be allowed to do that, you know, get people's names and addresses, but it was okay at the time. And I managed to do a lot of, you know, research and get my business off the ground. And that lasted in Ballyfermot for about a year and a half. And to be honest, it was just, even though there was so many kids and everything involved in it, I had 6 different teachers and teaching different things, dance, singing, all that stuff. But it was costing me a fortune. Even, you know, like people were paying, but when you're doing it in a local area, you can't charge crazy money. And all the money that I had made along the way in different films, the Magdalene sisters and things, you know, it all just got pumped back into it. And then I eventually I was trying to get some funding because there was EU funding at the time, but I'm kind of like your man out of your Pat Short, I think it was, in Father Ted, you know, like I hate filling in the forms. He goes into the post office and he comes in with a shotgun, gets back into the car and he goes, "It's my money, Father, I just didn't want to fill out the forms." So I'm kind of like, I can't wait around for funding. And I feel that, I don't know, I was trying to get some funding, but I needed it quickly. And they couldn't make it happen without it going through all the red tape that it has to go through. And I wanted to make sure I had all professional people, and not just a community type of vibe to it, you know. So I had to close the school, and then I had to rethink things. Took a month or two, and set up a little school in Temple Bar just for drama. And I set it up with like the best kids, the ones that were really strong, and it's still going since then. And because they were brilliant kids to start off with, that's the kind of kids that ended up coming in, you know. They all kind of feed off each other, and word of mouth spreads and that kind of thing. So yeah, I've had that running for a long time, and I've had just amazing students along the way, and learned so much about acting through just working with kids, you know, and adults. But you're on silent, by the way.
No, I'm just not talking.
Oh no, sorry, you're just miming there.
I'm just listening to you. Go back there a second. That was brilliant. I was just fascinated by the story actually, and the fact that like, in the middle of all that you went, "Oh yeah, when I was making like a few little films." You know, like go back and talk to me about those, because they were far from little films. I mean, I think there was a parallel life that you were living there that was kind of you were really kind of exploding onto the scene. And how was that for you?
It was hard work, you know. I mean, I was doing acting is all I wanted to be doing at the time. So I was doing films, things like Accelerator and the Magdalene Sisters, and yeah, it was brilliant. I was loving it. But as with all acting gigs, you know, you do 5 weeks on something, and then there's a gap. And I was doing lots of theatre as well. I got my first proper theatre gig with Druid when I was 21, when that was all happening, and I got to do I did a tour for a 4-month tour with that, and it was hard though. It was hard kind of trying to juggle everything. Yeah. So when I finished the stage school, it was the stress that was that. Since then, I've never felt stress. You know, there is no such thing as stress. I've dealt with that when I was very young. So it's brilliant. I've had brilliant experiences. The Magdalene Sisters, for example, we had to go to Scotland, to a place called Dumfries in Scotland to film that, and I had to get my head shaved, and there was the thing I remember in particular about that place was that it was full of seagulls. like Ireland had become over just the last few months, seagulls would literally take things out of your hands and they'd scream like there was riots. If you opened your window at night, it'd be like, ah! Riots with seagulls. Yeah, and then I was looking over the last while, I was saying, the place is, there's too many seagulls. People stop feeding them, please. And now, luckily, now with all of this, they're kind of moving back, getting the fish out of the sea and keeping away from my windows, because they've been shiting on the windows and, scuttering on them. And, you know.
And Mary, sorry, go back to when, like, I suppose it's kind of, just for people who don't know, I mean, when you kind of left school and got involved in a few bits around with Ballyfermot and you were doing the training, you started school, like, how did that kind of break into film happen? Did it just kind of happen or organically you've been pulled?
So when I was in the performing arts school, which started as Diggs Lane, then it moved along to Barrow Street, I got a short film and I was 16 when I did that, and it was called The Very Stuff, and Lisa Mulcahy directed it. And after that, somebody recommended me for a film in Irish, and they said Mary could do that because the film I did was set in the Gaeltacht. Well, little did they know I just said average Irish, but of course, as all actors do, you pretend you know it all until you get there. And then we made that work, and then. And like everything, once you gain that bit of confidence that, you know, people like you and are happy to work with you and stuff, you don't get so stressed about going into a room auditioning for things. And then I got a little ad. Actually, the first ad I did, I have a little story about that. There was this, it was an ad for Digiphone, the mobile phones. It was one of the first mobile phones. And I remember being in the office and Eamon Farrell, who ran the Performing Arts School, he is Colin Farrell's brother. And Colin Farrell was in there in the mix of teenagers and whatever auditioning for this. And there was this other guy who's a lovely guy, but he wasn't Colin Farrell, you know, and he was chatting away, and I was looking and I was going, oh God, I hope I end up getting to audition with your man. So anyway, I did. I got into the room and Colin chatted with the cast and director all about these films that he didn't want to take, that he was offered, and because he wanted to go traveling and stuff. And I was like, just take the job, and all this stuff in my head. But anyway, his job was to kiss me on the neck and to whisper sweet nothings in my ear and all this stuff, and he did, and I was very grateful. And I thought, well, you know, it's not going to be difficult to get this job now because I actually am in love with him. So anyway, that evening I did get the phone call that I got the job, and it was like, great, brilliant. And then a few days later, I'm in there waiting to go on set, and they say to me, so your other half will be in a minute. And it wasn't Colin Farrell, it was the other guy. You can't blame me being upset. He's a nice guy and all, but he wasn't Colin Farrell.
Well, at least you had that moment in the audition, you know, at least those memories you'll cherish forever.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, of course, he probably auditioned. That other guy probably auditioned with someone like Claudia Schiffer or something. You know, he's probably like, "Oh, you're a woman," you know. So, yeah, it cuts both ways. But yeah, so that was all. I was 16 when I was getting those jobs, and I was working in karaoke. Then I was doing singing competitions. I won a good few big singing competitions where I'd win 2 or 3 grand here and there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was before singing competitions on the TV. So, you know, they'd be in different pubs like the Sally Noggin Inn and all these different places. And you'd go through the same kind of stuff, you know, quarterfinal, semi-final, blah, blah. And yeah, I did. Yeah, so I did actually have kind of 3 careers going on at the same time. one was singing, one was acting, one was teaching. But along the way, I lost my voice completely. And I got a little job in a musical, a musical thing with the guys that do that Cheerios panto, you know, that was kind of the early days for them. And I was losing my voice at the time because I was abusing it. I was young and I was going to nightclubs and all stuff like that. I was around 19 at that time, and there was still smoking in pubs and stuff. So it was like, smoke is very bad for your voice, and it's all around it. So I got nodules on my vocal cords, and I was told just to stop talking, basically, which I couldn't do. I still can't do. So I for a long time was just trying to struggle with getting my voice back. But just before that happened, I had won a competition, and Louis Walsh was one of the judges, and he had brought me in. It was soon before Samantha Mumba came along, but he was on the lookout for a girl. Like, he was telling me he was looking for a girl next door, and brought me to the chocolate factory, brought me to meet the Spice Girls and their managers and all these, all these record people, you know, all people in the pop industry. And I didn't chase it up. At the time, I was losing my voice, and I thought, he's not going to want me. It's like, he didn't call me after that, but I didn't call him because I just thought there's no point. So for a good year or two after that, I was talking like that. And even if you watch, I don't want to draw people's attention to it too much, but if you watch some of my early films, you can see this. If you know of my voice problems, you can see the struggle for me actually trying to get words out.
And did you have to did you have to work really hard to get that back, Mary, or did it just resolve itself, or did it?
Well, no, I still look after it. Like, to this day, I exercise it and all that stuff. But at the time, I was very lucky because Maureen Hughes was casting on Raftery's Hill in the first time round with Druid, and she had called me in for the role of Sorrel, and Maureen had cast me in one or two film things before that, and the director, Gary Hines, she asked to see me about 5 times before she gave me the part, and I completely understand why, because they really were scared that my voice was not going to be able to take it. And they got me in touch with a voice doctor. I did some work with him. He checked, and you know, it was my vocal cords were very, very damaged and all the rest. But they also got me in touch with the brilliant Andrea Ainsworth, who works with the Abbey, and I maintain that she saved my career and my life. The exercises she gave me and the work she did with me, she set me on the path to just looking after my voice and getting it back into that place that it needs to be. And over the years, I got it back, and it got stronger and stronger. Yeah. But yeah, for a good 2 years, it was very, and even not just 2 years, actually, like, I could just go on a night out, and that's it. My voice is gone. Or at the time, just sing one song, and it was gone. Or I'd teach a class, and all that stuff. Then that I discovered along the way. I went, okay, well, I cannot teach in echoey rooms, and all these little things I've learned about rooms along the way, and about how you can take over a room and stuff, was all because of my voice, you know, and how not to have to shout. Even though I'm actually a very shouty person, and probably, like, people can hear me from miles away when I'm having a conversation, but I don't have to shout when I'm teaching. Like, I shout when I want to over noise, and then we can just have a quiet in a room and a nice conversation and all that. But that's all stuff I just learned because I had to learn how to deal with a very damaged voice.
And do you think that was, because I saw that production, it was extraordinary for the production, extraordinary performance. I mean, you know, that kind of, I still remember the interval of that play on the, you know, and it was like you would never experience. I'd never experienced that before in Irish theatre. But with the voice, with that part, would you think that was the kind of turning point for you in relation to your career? Was there a change in you after that, or was it, or, you know, was it just?
Yeah, I think so. I think I started looking after it more, yeah. Because film is easier. There's days off and all that stuff. But yeah, you really have to mind yourself, you have to physically and mentally and vocally. You really have to mind yourself to make sure that you're on form 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that has stuck with me. I do, like, it doesn't matter whether I'm doing a show or not. I still warm up every single day, vocally and physically, and because just to be show ready.
Yeah.
I
mean, Mary, like, I mean, there's so much, like, I was actually just this morning kind of looking at your CV, and I was kind of, even I that know you and know your career, was going, oh fuck yeah, Jesus, I like, you've done so much that you forget. Well, I'd forget some of it. So I'm not going to kind of bring you through everything. So I might kind of do a jigsaw scattergun approach. One, so let me start from an experience that was extraordinary in this building when you did
and the Tower Flower.
Yeah, no, it's the Tower Flower in 2006 or 7 with Darren and Fish Amble, Sean McLaughlin piece. I mean, that was just an amazing piece of theatre, but also I think an amazing production. I think there was something in that production that kind of got those words and got, you could feel it off you.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful show. It was a joy to do. Darren was amazing. The writing was incredible. Jim Culleton, of course, I just love that man. I love working with him. And the one thing that over the past few weeks, that play has stuck in my head, because I had to spit at Darren every night.
That's right.
And and I think to myself, that will never be allowed again. No, people will not be allowed to spit at each other in a play, in a film. They won't be allowed to kiss each other, touch each other. Like, we're all so touchy-feely and not afraid to be in each other's space and everything in theatre. It really is. You can't be afraid of things, and just spitting in somebody's face. It's huge. It's huge, and they'll have to fake that next time somebody does that play.
Water from behind your head.
Yeah, but it was a great. I love the play, and also because the time it was happening, because that was around the time that all the towers were coming down in Ballymun, and they brought us up to there was 2 left standing, I think. One, we went, a lovely woman brought us into her home. And I was amazed just at how, like, there was bullet holes in the front door. There was a stench on the way up. And then I went into 2 gates on this person's doorway. And once she went into her beautiful home that she cared about and looked after, and this was her world, and I kind of, the Noah and the Tower Flower encompass that as well. It's like people have there's a whole universe out there, but there's a whole little world happening in here. And that play was just about 2 people in a flat and over one night, and how a relationship blossomed, and it was just, it really just felt like it really felt like it was all part of that time, that energy, and of course there was all the regeneration as well, so there was hope for the future, and also I just love the fact that we got to fry rashers on the stage.
Yeah.
And I think it was our second preview, someone shouted down, "Hey, Mrs. Your rashers are burning!" So, of course, you're getting a real taste of where it's set,
I think as well there's kind of, you know, it's interesting to look back now, because it's about 12 years ago, that there wasn't those working class urban voices and experiences on the Irish stage at all in the way that they are now. I mean, we've produced a couple of Dermot Bulger's shows up to that point, but really it was kind of, and it wasn't spoken about so much around the time of the work that Fishon was doing. Then went on, and yourself and Carl doing the Pride of Parnell Street and them. You know what I mean? But I think that work stands the test of time because of its authenticity as well. I mean, obviously the Pride of Parnell Street, that went on for years, didn't it? Wasn't that?
Yeah, that went on for 4 years on and off. We traveled everywhere with that, and it was great. It was such a beautiful show. Sebastian Berry wrote that, and he actually had seen Noah and the Tower Flower, and he had asked to see me for the role, and I read it, and I just felt that the character was, because I was about 20, I think I was 27 at the time. The character was 31, but she was also a character that she lived a life, so she felt much older as well. She felt like a 40-year-old. And I read it first, and I thought, I don't know, I think I'm a bit young for this. And they went, well, we'll just read it, see what you think. And I'm not sure if the first time around I read it in total, but the next time I read it, and I read it aloud. And the script, it was on a paper script at the time. The script was soaking wet by the time I got to the end of it, like it was dripping. And I saw Jim at a premiere of something in the Carlton or the Savoy, one of those morning time premieres. And I went, Jim, this is like two days after I read the thing, and I went, nobody's getting that part. That's mine. I read it. That's mine. Forget what I said. And it was my part, because it just spoke to me. And that character of Janet, I really felt like she was nearly she was a ghost beside me for those years. I felt like I really was living her life, you know, and you really embody a person. And yeah, I really felt like it was somebody that existed. It was just so well written. And then, of course, I had such brilliant actors to work with, starting with Carl Shields first, and he was amazing as Joe. And then, so we actually started that in London, in the Tricycle in London. And there's a lot of expats there. So there was lots of people that were really able to associate with the story, you know, Irish people and their loss and stuff. And it went down really well. I think we did about 3 weeks, and then we came to Dublin. We did the theatre festival, and it was in the Tivoli.
Yeah.
And after that, we did a tour of Ireland and stuff. And then the next year then we went to Connecticut. We went loads of places after that, actually. We went to France, Germany, Connecticut. And then the following year, because it was all leading up to New York, you know, and the following year we got to go to New York. But then Carl was having his twins around that time, so he wasn't allowed to go, of course, because he had to be a father. And so Aidan took over, Aidan Kelly, who is his brother-in-law and also an amazing actor, but was just mad keeping it in the family. And then and so he came, we did it in New York for a few weeks for the first Irish festival, and there was amazing reaction there. And then I don't know where he was the following year, but then Joe Hanley took over. But poor old Joe was amazing as well. He was actually incredible, but he got all the Irish tour. He didn't get any of the nice places. So, you know, he didn't get to travel the world, so he missed out on that. But at least he got to play the character.
Mary, you've worked in all the houses in Ireland, and I'm interested in the kind of the difference for you between, say, TV, film, and theatre, is your process the same, or like do you prepare yourself in the same way, or is it different from the very much depending on who you're working with and what context?
Yeah, I think it's very much dependent on who I'm working with and what they make me do. Or, I think I miss it on TV and film. I would relish the opportunity to rehearse stuff, but you don't really get those opportunities. And I always feel under rehearsed, to be honest, because you can't really, like, I can run lines in my head, but I don't actually know them until I say them with the person, and then my body doesn't know them, and I'd love to just be able to have the time to embody it, like in theatre. In theatre, you really can take on a character and just get to know their entire world, and you can play off the other actor and discover exactly where that person came from, where they're heading to. In theatre or in film, you just go in like scene 42,
Yeah.
You're in a shop, or the next one you're riding somebody, or the next one you're being shot. And you can't, and things change along the way as well in telly and film. Like the scripts just change. And so that really is all just about the pictures. And at the end of the day, you can see a really good script and end up in a really bad film at the end of it, if it's directed badly or if it's edited badly. So I think editors are amazing. If you're a good editor, you can make everyone look incredible. But if you're a bad editor, you can make really good performances look bad,
Yeah.
So you're at their mercy, whereas in theatre, it very much is a collaboration. And everybody is coming together, trying to create this thing together. And we're watching it together and we're saying, okay, that works, that doesn't work, let's try that. You don't just do your thing and then let somebody else chop it up and decide that was the right moment, because you could be doing amazing things. Because I do always remember, I did a little stint on Fair City probably about 15 years ago or something. And I remember there was a scene, like it's a really emotional scene, and I was delighted with myself. And I was playing this character who was pretending to be somebody else. And I went home, I thought I did a great job. And then when I saw it back on the TV, it was a waste of time and effort, because they used a wide shot and there was one or two very intimate scenes where it looked like there was too much distance between the characters and stuff, and I was going, I look like I can't act, and sometimes I think, I just think that you at least get that opportunity to show what you can do in theatre. Of course, in good film, if the production values are good, and in TV and film, they can make you look great, even if you're not doing such a great job,
Yeah. And Mary, in relation to that, because I think as well, in theatre, sometimes a lot of stuff you've done has had a huge reach, but sometimes plays don't have a wider public reach. But like then when you get cast in something like, Love Hate, suddenly, you're known. And is that difficult for you as an individual, kind of to suddenly do that and then go, oh, Jesus?
Well, I have to say I was okay. I was enjoying, it being known at the time, because I was promoting a one-woman show that I was doing. So I thought, look, I'll take this publicity and I'll use it. Also, my character was very made up. So unless you came up close to me, you kind of weren't, like, people did tend to go, I know you. Where do I know you from? And until they got a second or two to hear my voice, always when people heard my voice, they knew who I was. Taxi drivers or whatever, they go, oh. But otherwise, no, it was okay. Not every, like, I didn't mind people wanting selfies and things like that. It was fun to be part of that because the whole country was involved in it at the time, actually. So it was kind of fun to be part of it. in terms of, but at the same time, when I think back to other TV things like Fair City, I remember when my storyline was going on at the time, that was uncomfortable because you're living a normal life. You're in pennies picking up a bra, you know, and then you have to put it away because someone's making a big comment about it, you know, or you're on a bus or something, you know, and because people just assume you're earning a fortune when you're on the telly, and you know you're being paid well for the time that you've done, but you're not getting 52 weeks work a year, you know.
And come here, the back to the theatre for a minute. I mean, you've had there's work that you obviously get cast in and do for different companies, but you've also have developed your own work a lot over the years, and then you kind of are involved with a lot of new work, you know, in different places, like with the core ensemble and with kind of different, you know, companies over the years. So that seems to be very, very important to you. Am I right in saying that that kind of new work and new plays and being involved in that moment of creation?
Yeah, I've always loved working on new plays, new things. Like people always say, which part would you love to play? And I always say, the one that hasn't been written yet. You know, I want the new one. I don't want the one someone else did, because then I'm always the second person to do it. I want to be the first. I'm lucky enough to have been the first to have done a few things, and that means you got the chance to create that character. And of course, everybody will always compare the first performance of the others. So I do with the core ensemble. At the moment we're doing a playwriting competition. So we're coming together twice a week and we read these plays together and we discuss them and everything, and it's brilliant. And I'm learning so much, just learning so much about other people's perspectives and what is a good play. Like at this stage, the more you know, the less you know, because you know, I'm reading stuff and I'm going, that is brilliant, and then other people are going, no, just a copycat of this one and this one and this one. And then other times I'm like, I'm so bored, just stop reading it now. And they go, no, but this writer has potential, you know. So there's so many things we're excavating at the moment with the core ensemble. And we've managed to get our own little theatre in Phibsborough, and in the Bohemian Pub in Phibsborough, and because it's ours, we're able to use that space however we like, and we can just test things, you know. And it's great to be able to test things because theatre's so expensive, and to try and put a proper show on and to get it out touring and everything, it costs so much money, and then you can't be guaranteed of the audiences. So for us, we're very lucky in that if we started off in a small space, then we can at least get the reviews and gauge the audience reaction and learn from that, and then kind of mold it then to a better piece, so that if it's gone down well, then you can move along then and see if other theatres like it. And that's the kind of thing we've been doing. Like there was plans to do a few of our shows in London and stuff this year and again. But it's great to just learn new stuff and be involved with new people, and I am very much about new stuff. And my dad writes as well. My dad writes for me.
Okay.
And so that's very handy to have.
Does that cause friction at all? Like, there's kind of, you know, did you have input?
No, well, actually, yeah. So we have a great relationship, but I will read a play, for example, and I'll say, that's very good. Let's go and get some actors together and read it. And then he'll be terrified, like all writers, because what we're going to do is we're going to tear it to shreds. And he has to put up with that. And then I'll be saying, I didn't notice that kind of lagged when I read it like I read a novel. but when you actually say it out loud and you're feeling the audience around you, it's a different thing. It's a different animal. And yeah, and so we've learned a lot of stuff together, you know, and we've kind of collaborated. Like there's a show, the very first show my dad wrote for me is a show called Sister. And we did that about 15 years ago in the International Bar. And we did it for about 3 weeks. And it was full of twists and plots and everything. And it was brilliant. It went down really well. But we both had an awful lot to learn about the structure of a play. And we still haven't brought it back. Even though I have told them this is the one I'm going to win the Tony Award for. We still haven't brought it back yet. But last year, well, actually a few months ago, we decided the play was originally written for 2 actors and now it's been written for 3. And we decided that my sister was going to be one of the characters from the other characters that I played because it is about sisters. And myself and Laura we're very, very similar. We nearly look like twins. And Laura's a brilliant actress. And we have plans to get that up off the ground. And luckily, very luckily for the 2 of us, we've started to get a good bit of work together as sisters. So we're in this TV program that's going to come out. I don't know when now, because it was supposed to come out around spring. But of course, with this COVID-19, who knows? But it's a thing called Dead Still, where we're playing these sisters in it. And then we were to do this pilot thing for Channel 4 together as well. And something else we were to do together. So we were like, this is grand. We'll be able to jump off all the publicity to get Dad's play up off the ground with the 2 of us. This will all work brilliantly. And yes, but that's kind of stopped in its tracks for the minute.
And go back to the new writing, because obviously there's the new writing that you're kind of involved in through core ensemble and through your father and through your own kind of mechanism, but even through your career, you know, the Sean McLaughlin plays Bastian Berry. There's more of the Alice trilogy, and there's lots of work there that, you win an award for the Alice,
for the Alice trilogy. Yeah,
that was incredible. How did that? You know, that must have been an amazing experience as well, Mary, was it?
Yeah, it was a very new experience for me. Tom Murphy directed it as well as wrote it. And it was really interesting working with him because he wanted it delivered exactly as he sounded. So I was just trying to get his musicality. Now, luckily, everybody else that gets a Tom Murphy play, they have to figure that stuff out for themselves. You know. But I was literally, I don't know, I can't remember the words or anything, but let's say it was, I'm going to the shops. And I'd say, I'm going to the shops. He would probably say, I'm going to the shops. You know, and I'd have to get that exactly, the Tom Murphy thing, because that's how he wanted it to be put across. But it was great. It was great to... Yeah, it's a great new experience again, and with an established writer and a lovely man and the gorgeous Jane Brennan, and in the Abbey with brilliant people around you. Yeah, what's not to like? Yeah,
and like from that to, you know, as I said, to more, you know, the new plays, but then like, you know, you've done classics, you've done like obviously Macbeth with Second Age, and then also Lunacy. Did Lunacy up the Lyric?
Yeah, I did Lunacy, yeah. We did that in the Lyric, and then we took it to the Gaiety.
Yeah.
So that was with Annabelle Coleman, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, great working with just gorgeous actors, and of course one of those gorgeous plays. But I could never be the first. I can't be the first to play that character. So yeah, you know, I don't know where I am. I'm number 7 million Rosie. So yeah, nobody will ever remember my performance unless they've only seen it once. So.
But sorry, just I won't keep you much longer. But I'm interested in that like, going right back to the 14, 16-year-old girl who had all this stuff on the go, and I'm fascinated by, you know, the kind of you said working the karaoke circuit. I mean, that, you know, that's not just going to a pub, having a couple of drinks and singing karaoke. That's work. That sounds like something that was very serious.
It was fun. I was lucky again. I don't know, like I really did just get so lucky in so many ways. I don't know how I managed it, but this lovely man called Johnny Gray, he ran karaoke in the Mullingar House in Chapel Islet. And I think I got up to sing one night with my friends. And then he asked me to sing another song. And maybe I went for 1 or 2 weeks or something. But then he offered me a job to do 20 minutes every night to warm up the crowd. And I got paid for that. And then I got to drink for the rest of the night. And then I got to go to nightclubs with my friends. And I got paid like 3 times what my friends were getting for being lounge girls. And it wasn't difficult at all. It was great. The only thing that wasn't so great, because I was young and stupid, is that I remember one night I left them all. I used to get dolled up to the nines, like mini skirts and whatever. And I always thought that, my dad always told me that was very important. If you're getting up on a stage to sing, make sure you dress the part. And he was right, because that's how I ended up winning the competitions. I showed my legs, and the voice was only half of it. And but one of the nights I remember leaving the Mullingar House, and it was snowing out, and I had stilettos on, and I walked up Chapel Islet Hill in stilettos in the snow. Only 16-year-olds do stupid things like that. Like, now I look at young ones in little short skirts freezing and all, and I'm like, put a jacket on, wear some running. at least bring your stilettos in your bag.
Come here, just I have to say it to you now to have you in front of me, because you're so self-effacing and you're so won't, I wish you'd stop using the word lucky, because luck follows people that are talented and that are meant to be doing something. I've seen you throughout many, many years, and you're an extraordinary actress, Mary. I mean, I think one of the greatest sort of things that I love about going to see you is that you manage to immerse yourself not just in your character, but in the play you're in, to make yourself almost invisible. And that's, so please stop saying you're lucky.
Oh, no, thank you, Mark. No, I really appreciate that. But I am, and I know I'm so lucky, because I look at my world against my sisters. And my sister is incredibly talented. She's a brilliant writer, and she's a brilliant actress. And she has done a lot of acting. She's done a lot of stuff, like site-specific stuff with Anu and stuff like that. And she is brilliant. But along the way, she didn't have such an easy journey as me. Because she has 2 kids, and she's another baby on the way, and that's always a huge struggle for people to try and get back into their careers again. And because she was a bit younger than me, she was 3 years younger than me, she was always kind of a bit in my shadow, because I sang, and I was the one then getting pushed out to sing. And when you're 13, like, that's, that does play on your own confidence and stuff like that. And I just think of that same person who I love to perform with, who I know is incredibly talented and deserves every single opportunity that I had, and hasn't had all of them. It'll come her way, but she hasn't had them all yet. And I definitely would not say that I'm not lucky, because I am. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that I never wanted children. So again, it's not that I'm so lucky that I didn't want children, because, other people don't have children, but they want them. It's just, I'm lucky in the mindset that I'm in, that everything I have, I actually want. And even now, when I'm saying, well, look, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if any of us are going to have jobs in the future. But I'm still going, yeah, but at least I got to show my talent, so that if nothing happens, I can go and sing on Grafton Street now for, because all throughout this journey, of the past few weeks, I've been doing this karaoke in Mary's Gaff on Facebook. And I've been connecting with people from the past, asking me to sing them songs and stuff. And I've been learning new songs. And I probably had about 10 songs that I would generally sing. I'm on song 59 today. So I'm going, yeah, I haven't been singing. I love to sing. And I had to stop that because I got so involved with other things. And if I don't get to act, maybe I'll get to sing. And if I don't get to teach, maybe I'll get to teach on Zoom, because I've been doing a bit of figuring things out with the kids with that. And if I don't get to do that, well, look, I can always bring back Mrs. Gibney, because she makes me happy.
She makes more than you happy.
Mrs. Gibney kind of, she's a character that I played online. I had a bit of crack with, but she evolved from the one-woman show that my dad wrote for me called No Smoke Without Fire. And she was just everybody's auntie and everybody's granny. And I just thought there's more in Mrs. Gibney. She actually has depth and she has life and she has more to say. So I just started putting things out on Facebook and people reacted. And even like I left her, she's there, she's gone 3 years. But every now and again, like I throw out now video, just because people are always asking me, and I've been going, oh, will I do her? It takes a lot of work, though. I'm going, I can either do the karaoke or the Mrs. Gibney. I can't do both. But now somebody gave me a little idea, so their worlds might merge somewhere along there.
I'm envisioning it in a couple of weeks' time. You know, it's now what the 23rd of April for anyone watching in 60 years' time, and we're in the middle of the COVID pandemic. But I'm imagining your Facebook might go behind a paywall all of a sudden. You know, where yes, you can hear me sing karaoke, but you're going to have to pay for it.
That's brilliant. It's also very scary. Yeah. We were actually talking in the core ensemble today about what's next. Like, what's next for actors if we can't do theatre? What are we going to be doing? Are we going to be doing motion captioning stuff? And if we are we going to be able to learn that online? Like, that's something I'd love to be doing. Yeah. And I'd love to be, I've done a few cartoons and things. I'd love to be doing loads of that stuff. I love all that stuff. But yeah, that might be where we'll all have to end up for a while.
Yeah. Mary, look, thanks very, very much for taking part in this. It's been an absolute joy to talk to you.
Pleasure.
Always. And I'll be still following your karaoke online.
Oh, good. Thanks. And don't be afraid to send in a request.
You never know now. I might just do that.